Welcome to Anti-Woke and Autistic. This is truly a first world problem. Get a load of this. Getting misgendered can be a very hurtful experience. It's never easy to deal with, but here are 3 tips to deal with being misgendered. If you want help coping with being misgendered, DM me or comment below and I'll get back to you. You don't have to do this on your own. What in God's name are we talking about here? This is a first world problem. When people are conditioned, brainwashed, and indoctrinated into believing that something is really traumatic emotionally, they begin thinking it is. Unfortunately, many people are that vulnerable and easily manipulated. Why should being misgendered be considered something that's hurtful? I mean, is it on the same level as being made fun of because you're missing a leg or something like that? It's never easy to deal with. Why shouldn't it be easy to deal with? And yes, I've been misgendered, and I'll get to that in a moment. Here are 3 tips to deal with being misgendered. To deal with it? What's there to deal with? If you want help coping, I remember when coping was used to refer to things like dealing with the aftermath of a serious car accident or your house being on fire or being diagnosed with a serious illness or learning that your parents want to get a divorce, something big like that, or you're going to lose your job, your car was stolen, you're in a toxic relationship and you're trying to get out of it. Those are all workplace hostility. Those are all things you have to cope with. They're ongoing, they're significant. But being misgendered, especially by a stranger or somebody who has no significance in your life, what's there to cope with? People are being trained by woke ideologists to be extremely overly sensitive. If you want help coping with being misgendered, DM me. So she's trying to make money, apparently, or he, she, whatever. This person's trying to make money as a coach. A coach? I bet this person charges money for this. I'm sure she or he or they don't do it for free. So is this like a money grab here, a scam, or does this person, excuse me. So as I was saying, does this person really believe in what they're saying? You don't have to do this on your own. You don't have to go through this on your own. Again, are we talking about, this is what people say, you don't have to do this on your own. They say things like that in reference to like going through a cancer diagnosis, a cancer treatment, or getting support for a divorce, or something major like that. But getting misgendered? I'm going to go through, and again, I told you that I've been misgendered. I've actually been misgendered twice that I can recall, and I'll tell you how I reacted. But first, look what this woman has to say. I'm calling her a woman because she looks like a woman. Okay, so she says, stay calm and breathe. Isn't that what people are told to do when they're in an elevator and it suddenly stops and the lights go out? They're putting being misgendered on the same level as you hear an intruder in your house in the middle of the night. Stay calm and breathe. Or you're having a painful medical procedure done, like an endometrial biopsy. Stay calm and breathe. Or you're about to have a colonoscopy. Stay calm and breathe. Or you're about to have dental work done. Stay calm and breathe. Or you're in that elevator that just suddenly stopped. Stay calm and breathe. But somebody calls you a she when you're a he, or calls you a man when you're a woman, or a woman when you're a man. Stay calm and breathe? Why? What's so horrible about being mistaken for a man if you're a woman, or vice versa? It's natural to feel a rush of emotions. No, it's not natural to feel a rush of emotions when you've been misgendered. It's only natural if you've been brainwashed by all this woke ideology that's continuously getting pumped out in social media. Take a deep breath and stay as calm as possible. Yeah, there's a tornado coming, a hurricane. Hunker down and stay as calm as possible. That's good advice. But this person's making getting misgendered out to be some horrific, psychological, brutal experience. And unfortunately, there are people who are gullible enough, impressionable enough to fall for that. Getting angry or frustrated might not be a good idea. If you get angry and frustrated because somebody thought you were a man or a woman, you really need to rethink your priorities in life. Let's see what the next one here is. Correct gently. I guess that's meant for the misgenderer. If they're an overly sensitive person, they might get their feelings hurt if you correct them. Correcting someone gently when they misgender you is an essential skill. You can say something like, actually, my pronouns are fill in the blank. Do it calmly. Oh, another thing I want to mention, very recently, I misgendered somebody. I'll tell you how that went. Then the next thing is counseling or support groups. Consider seeking support from a coach, therapist, or support group where you can share your experiences and receive guidance on coping with misgendering. Weren't support groups supposed to be like for people who are recently divorced, recently lost a parent, recently lost a child, are struggling dealing with infertility, drug addiction, alcoholism, a new autism diagnosis, bipolar, something big like learning they like having a cancer diagnosis, diabetes, blindness, disability, some kind of disability or serious medical condition, or something psychologically horrible that's happened in your life. You're homeless, you lost your home, you were evicted, your home was foreclosed on, you were fired from your job, something big like that. Rape, for instance, spousal abuse. Those are support groups, or single parenting. Single parents have support groups that can be challenging. But a support group for being misgendered? First world problem in an increasingly soft society. A therapist? You're going to pay a therapist 90 bucks an hour? I don't know how cheap the cheapest therapist charges. My understanding is that like 60 or 70 bucks an hour is on the low end of it, and it's usually like 100 or 130 bucks an hour. If you're going to pay somebody that much to help you cope with being misgendered, you have a serious psychological problem. Maybe it all boils down to just being easily brainwashed, but if you're easily brainwashed, that is a serious problem. Guidance and coping. Okay, first of all, when I was around 11 or 12, I was misgendered by a nun. My mother, sister, and I drove to the Catholic high school that another sister attended, and we were waiting for her in the car. So my mother sent me into the building to look for her. So I go into the building. Again, I'm 11 or 12. I'm going to assume that I was 12. When I was 13, I entered that school as a ninth grader. And it seems to me I was pretty close to becoming a student there. So I'm going to assume that I was 12. I go into the building. I see a nun. The first nun I see is the one I ask, have you seen? And then I give her the name of my sister. And I don't remember what the nun's response was, but at some point the nun called me Fella, Fella. The nun called me Paula. It took me by surprise, but I didn't react to it. It was just a mistake. Big deal. I was probably wearing a t-shirt and jeans. My hair was about up to here. It was frizzy. I had no makeup on, no jewelry. I had no nail polish on. And I had a neutral t-shirt. I don't know what t-shirt I was wearing. I had neutral clothes. I had sneakers on. So she called me a fella. So what? I didn't even think anything of it. And so the interaction continued, and then I left the building. I wasn't hurt or upset. Now, before you say, well, that's because I was only 12, no, I don't think it was because I was only 12, because in this day and age, apparently, and correct me if I'm wrong, many individuals who are getting upset and psychologically shattered because of being misgendered are of adolescent age. But for me internally, I didn't wonder, oh, why did she think I was a boy? Aren't I pretty enough? Maybe I should wear a pink dress with frilly lace and pink ribbons in my hair. No, of course not. I was intelligent enough or bold enough or whatever enough to realize I'm dressed in a way that could be that could make me look like a boy. My hair is kind of androgynous. It's frizzy. It's not styled like a girl's. There's no braids in it or clips in it or anything. The nun made an innocent mistake. I moved on like 2 seconds after it happened, and I had no desire and I felt no need to correct that nun at the time. Why put her on the spot? I was only going to interact with this nun for another, I don't know, 15 or 20 or 25 more seconds. Why should I correct her? It would serve no purpose. Now, the second time I was misgendered, I was an adult and I was wearing a Halloween costume and I was outside the apartment complex, which is on a rather busy sidewalk, and I was dressed as a ninja. So the only thing exposed were my eyes, and just maybe the tip of my nose, but everything else was covered. I'm 5'8", and I'm out there, and I don't recall the exact circumstances, but two or three young men, either of college age or of high school age, were approaching, and they got a kick out of my outfit. I didn't say anything, I didn't speak, and I started doing some martial arts move because at the time I was taking martial arts. I was doing karate and whatnot. And I did some forms, some kata, and they were kind of impressed and they gave me a little clap. And then I said something. I don't recall what it was, but words came out of my mouth and they're looking at each other like, you're a woman. I actually felt complimented that they thought I was a man because it meant number one, I must have done my karate moves pretty good. And number two, I must have a really nice athletic looking build. I actually felt complimented that they thought I was a man. Now, recently, I went on this hiking excursion. I joined up this group. There's an organization that services autistic people. And of course, I'm autistic, and these are higher support needs autistic people. But I wanted to mingle with autistic people since I got my diagnosis. So I met them at the hiking trailhead, and this was like the fourth, I don't know, the fourth or fifth time we met to go hiking. And up until that point, only men from this agency were showing up for the hike, autistic men. And I had said more than once, how come we don't see any women coming on these hikes? Where are the women? You gotta recruit some women. So on this particular hike, they're coming out of the van. We have a man and another man as usual, another man. And I'm thinking, I'm just hoping a woman shows up for one of these things. And this person then starts coming out of the van. I said, oh, good, a woman. And one of the guides looks at this person, and I can't remember what this person's name was, if the guide said this person's name first. But the guide then said, what are your pronouns? And this person, and I'm saying this person because I'm not sure this person was a woman or a man, but this person was looking down and in a very meek voice said, he, him. if I had to choose a gender for this person, I would say it was a woman. She was about 5'3", 5'2", 5'3". She was chubby, kind of pear-shaped. That's very unusual in a biological man. And she had boobs. Now, I know some men, some overweight, chubby men have boobs. They're called moobs, M-O-O-B-S, for man boobs. So it's possible, but man boobs look a little bit different than regular boobs on a woman. They kind of look a little bit different. They're spaced further apart. They're just shaped a little bit differently. And the boobs I saw looked like a typical chubby woman's boobs. They weren't big, maybe like a B cup size. The hair was not real short. It wasn't long, but it was kind of like a, I don't want to say a bob, but it was kind of like this. And it was a common hairstyle you might see in a woman, but it was also a common hairstyle you might see in a man. It was a t-shirt that was androgynous and like stretch pants or something like that. So the clothes were androgynous as far as hiking. I don't think I saw any makeup. I'm not sure if there were earrings, but my first thought was that this person was a woman. And if this individual ultimately, if her feelings were hurt, it's because she learned, whether she's autistic or not, because this is happening to a lot of neurotypical people too, their feelings got hurt, offended when they're misgendered. And I think a lot of that is that they're learning to be that way because the woke ideology camp keeps making this out to be such a horrible, wretched thing to happen in the first place. They keep making being misgendered as something heinous. And if you hear something often enough and you're impressionable and vulnerable, you're going to begin believing it. 50 years ago, if somebody was misgendered, it was like, oh, no big deal. For 1 microsecond, you were aware of it and then you moved on. Nowadays, it's treated as something you got to cope with and get guidance for and see a therapist and a coach. So here's the scoop. If being misgendered really, really bothers you, do something about it. Present yourself in a way that looks more like the he or him or his that you want to be thought of. Or present yourself in a way that looks more like the she or her or hers that you want to be seen as. So if you're a woman who gets repeatedly misgendered as a man, if it's bothering you, maybe you should change something about your appearance to look more like a woman. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, I shouldn't have to change my appearance. I'm comfortable the way I dress and the way I wear my hair. I don't like to wear makeup. This is me. I'm doing me. This is me. Fine, do you. But then don't expect people to think you're a woman if you come across as masculine. You can't have it both ways. Pick one. Either learn to deal with being misgendered and just shrug it off like nothing, or change your appearance to look more like the gender you want to be regarded as. You can't have it both ways. Now, if you're a man and you keep getting misgendered as a woman, again, do something about your appearance to make yourself look more masculine. If you're like, well, I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to change who I am and the way I am. I should be my authentic self, and this is me. Okay, that's fine, but then don't get all upset and bent out of shape if you get misgendered. You can't have it both ways. It's that simple. So how can a man look less like a woman if he wants to look less like a woman and not be misgendered? Well, he could start lifting weights. There's maybe he can grow some facial hair, some stubble. Let some stubble grow. I find stubble irresistible. Certain kinds of stubble. Oh my gosh, don't get me started. I just go crazy when I see a young man's stubble. Oh, the soft, not the real dense, not the dense kind. I don't mean the dense rough looking kind, but the soft kind where you can see each individual hair. Oh, don't get me started. But anyways, do something. Maybe if your hair is long, get it cut a little bit shorter. But again, if you like your long hair with the blonde streaks in it, and you don't want to lift weights and you're fine with a real thin body, again, you can't have it both ways. Just learn to accept the fact that sometimes people are going to think you're a woman, or if you're a woman, sometimes they're going to think you're a man. Now, there are circumstances for which that really counts, like if you want to join a volleyball league, for instance, and they keep thinking you're a man, and they're saying, well, you can't play on our league because it's only for women. Well, yeah, it's an issue and you need to clear it up. But otherwise, if it's just in passing, like that nun I saw, or those young guys on Halloween, get over it. Come on. This is a first world problem. Think of all the hungry, starving children and people living in huts with no running water, people who have to drink filthy water every day and who don't have good medical care and are are struggling to pay the rent and don't even have a car and don't even have a computer and were just diagnosed with diabetes or some other serious illness. Is it really, if that's your only problem or one of your only problems in life is getting misgendered, if that's one of your biggest problems, maybe you're a very lucky person and you should count your blessings and stop getting all bent out of shape over something that's extremely trite and trivial. The only time that being misgendered became a huge deal is when the woke ideology started mushrooming and blowing up and taking over the country, and they brainwashed you and indoctrinated you into believing that being misgendered is a horrible thing. Look, it's a human mistake of observation and perception. So the brain perceives you as being female because it could be your voice, your clothes, your face, but you're really a male. It's just an innocent error of perception. How do you correct it? My advice is just to be casual. Just like if they got your last name wrong, or if they got your address wrong, they need your address, or if you give them your phone number and they repeat it back to you and they have a few numbers wrong, you would be very casual about correcting them on those things, right? Or if they got your dog's name wrong, you tell them your dog's name is Fluffy, and at some point they refer to your dog as Bunny. You wouldn't be offended. You would say, oh, the name is Fluffy. Be casual, and matter of fact, if they get your gender wrong. Now, some people have been trained by the woke ideology to think it's a horrendous, horrible thing to misgender somebody. I didn't feel that way when I misgendered that hiker when she said, or he, whatever, he, him, this person was looking down. But they were looking down from the get-go. All right, when they stepped off the van, they were already like looking down. They weren't like looking at me and then I misgendered and then they looked down. They were already looking down. That was their natural demeanor. I didn't make a big deal about it. I didn't go, oh, sorry, oh, I'm sorry, sorry. No, if I accidentally had bumped into this person, I would have apologized. If I accidentally had stepped on this individual's foot, I would have apologized. But I'm not going to apologize if I innocently misgender somebody because I didn't do anything wrong. There are people out there, and you've met them. Everybody has met somebody who says, I'm sorry, 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 all the time over every little thing. So if they misgender somebody, no matter how you correct them, they're going to apologize. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong by misgendering them. It was an innocent mistake of observation and perception, an innocent visual mistake. And if they apologize for it, again, I can't say this enough, it reflects them. Some people are excessive apologizers. They keep saying, sorry, 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 sorry. That really annoys me. It's about them. If somebody is always saying, I'm sorry, 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 that says everything about them and nothing about you. Unless, now, if you bump into somebody by accident and you don't apologize, you're being rude. Or if somebody does something nice for you and you don't thank them, like if you drop something and they pick it up for you, you say thank you. If you just ignore it, you're being rude. But if you misgender somebody, you're not being rude. Why should you apologize for it? And if you correct them because they misgendered you and they go, I'm sorry, again, they shouldn't. They shouldn't say they're sorry. The reason, there's a good chance it's because they have learned from all the woke people out there that it's a horrible, horrible, awful misdeed to misgender somebody instead of just a tiny little innocent mistake. Well, that's it for today. Have a great day.